Hi. I really wish I would have done this a long time ago, but I never got around to it because I stopped recording. But I wanted to talk about psychedelics. The last time that I tripped was almost 4 years ago, 4 years in August. Um, and the reason why I stopped was because the last time that I did it, I did it because I was trying to escape, and I think that that's never a good reason to try and do anything, or especially try and do a drug or psychedelic, because it's a really powerful experience, and you shouldn't try to do that to try and escape from your life or reality or whatever, because things get too overwhelming. But I feel really guilty about that, so I stopped, and I haven't done anything since then. But well, except for smoke, but whatever. That doesn't really count. But I even started in the first place because I was having my spiritual transformation, and my higher self told me that I should maybe try psychedelics or whatever. So and then that would help me understand myself more, and that will help me understand things more about all my questions about reality or whatever. So that's essentially what she told me. So I felt very strongly about that, even though prior to that I was very, very against any kind of drugs, psychedelics or whatever. Like, I would have them around me, and people were like, "Oh, you should maybe," and I'm just like, "No," because I was always very against that kind of thing. And before I started smoking, I was super against that. Well, I wasn't super against it, but I was just like, just against, drugs are bad, whatever. Um, so, anyways, I tried it, and before I tried it, I looked up things online about what the experience was like, and just so I could mentally prepare myself, because I didn't just want to go into it like a dumbass. And I read a lot of things on the site that a guy told me about called Blue Light, and I would just read about people's trip reports and things like that. And eventually I was like, maybe I will try this. Maybe it will help me. So I ended up going for it, and I did it got it at a party. And I met someone there that told me that you shouldn't try and do this at a party. You should just take it with you and then maybe try later, because it's too much going on at a party for you to really go where you're supposed to go with it, which is true, but I was stupid at the time, so I did it at the party. But as soon as I started to trip, the party got shut down, so I guess that was good that I didn't have to experience that whole thing there. But basically, it was just a lot of inward experiences. I remember I started to trip, and I could see these exotic patterns in my mind, close-eye visuals. And they were moving to the sound of the music or whatever, and it was really cool. It was really intense, and it was probably the most intense third eye experiences I've had ever. Really powerful. When you look outward into the world, not that much has changed. Things will maybe move a little, but everything at the time of that trip, everything was inside me, and I could see pyramids. And I remember one of the big visions that I got was I saw an all-seeing eye, and I thought that was really weird, and I was like, is that a good symbol or is that a bad symbol? But a lot of the things I didn't really understand, and I didn't really care to understand. I just was like, wow, this is inside me. It's there all the time. Why am I not saying this all the time? But yeah, it was a really beautiful, powerful experience, and that was the first time that I really fully grasped the inner God concept. So I haven't had that many experiences on shrooms, maybe like 3. But I've done acid way more because it's easier to find. But I don't want you to think that I'm like an acid head. I've only done it like 7 or 8 times or so. But I also had my first experience with that at a party. And well, not real a regular party. Like this was instead in a festival, like outdoor festival. So I really didn't like that trip at all. It was terrible. Oh, my first one, I started it in the area of the party that was like the dance floor or whatever, and then like when I started to, I was like, well, I need to get away from this, and I need to get away from everybody, and I was like, thank God I'm like in the middle of the fucking woods, because it would have sucked if I was at a regular party. But yeah, just as soon as I started to trip, it was like, I remember that I like put my head down like when I first took it, and then like I had my head down for a while, and then when I got back up, I was just like, oh yeah, okay, it hit me. And I just got like really, really uncomfortable when I had to leave that area, as I said. But I ended up going to the car with my ex so that I could like just, I don't know, be by myself and convulse. And I started to get like really, really uncomfortable. Like all my clothes felt really weird on my body, and all my jewelry felt really weird on my body. So I started taking everything off, and it was just like, what is stuff against my skin? And like eventually I had to use the bathroom, and he took me out there so that I could, into the woods where nobody else was, so that I could use it. And I remember like when I was looking down, all the ground was shifting, and also when I was walking to the bathroom, well, the woods bathroom, I remember the whole ground was like glittering, like it was like sparkly, shiny glitter all over the ground, but there really wasn't. And it was really cool. And then I remember when he passed me the toilet paper or whatever, I felt like I was like Alice in Wonderland, and he was like the Mad Hatter, and it was just like this really dramatic, like, but it really wasn't like that. It was just because I was tripping. But anyways, yeah, that was probably the best part of that whole trip, because the rest of it really sucked. And like I remember like, can you get away from me? I like kind of forgot who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt like everything erased from my brain, and like I thought that I was my friend, but like I was me. Like I don't know. And it was really weird. But at that party as well, I tried a different kind of acid, which I prefer much more. Why did I forget what this is called again? So I have to Google it. Sorry. Yeah, 4-ACO-DMT. That's the other kind of acid that I tried. So this isn't really like regular acid or something, but I think that it's way, way better, and it's like, it's more like mushrooms, and it feels, well, it's definitely not organic like mushrooms. That's why I prefer it, because it feels more organic, but it feels like not so weird like acid sometimes does. And I just remember just being really happy, and everything was like, I felt like a bubble, and everything around me was just like, I don't know, it was a fucking trip. But whatever. I pretty much learned that reality has infinite layers. There are many layers to reality, and those types of things can take you there. It's a terrible thing to, I guess, hallucinate, because those things do exist inside you, whatever. Yeah, but they always exist at all times. I guess it's just up to you changing your state of consciousness to become conscious of them. I don't know. But I've also tried DMT as well, and I tried that about twice, and no, I've never really got to have a trip on it because it just doesn't work for me or whatever. And I'm not complaining about that because I was always really afraid to do it because of the things that people would say about it, like, once you go there, you'll never be the same. And I kind of don't want to have an experience that I feel like once I go somewhere, I'm never going to be the same. So, yeah, I never really tripped on DMT, but I've also tried salvia, and that I've done that once, and it was weird because I was in the woods with a friend, and I remember hearing voices in one ear and a different, like a male voice in one ear and a female voice in the other ear, and they were telling me two different things like at the same time, and it was really, really confusing. I didn't understand what was going on or what that's supposed to mean. And then as I would look around, I felt all of nature like pulling me, like, I don't know, like not like physically pulling me, but I could feel like spiritually it was like something that I could physically feel, but I wasn't moving. Like it was just like pulling me, like all the trees, all the grass, the water, everything was just pulling me, and that was really cool. And I just felt like I was one with everything. And I think that that was the one thing that I've ever tried to, like, you're supposed to feel that with mushrooms, I guess, but which I do, but like just with salvia, I could physically feel me becoming one with all that was around me, all of nature, and it was really cool. And people always say that they have like really horrible horror stories on salvia, but I had a really cool experience, and I thought that I really learned a big chunk about myself and like the earth and the universe through that. So it wasn't a bad experience, but I probably wouldn't do it again because the trip doesn't last long enough for it to be worth it, I guess. Because I don't just like taking things to take things. I try to take all my experiences like seriously, and really try to always learn something from it because I know that I'm not going to come out the same. And yeah, I think everything was really beneficial for me to learn, and I do understand like what my higher self was trying to get me to understand, like about all the layers to reality. Yeah, I tried to write down what I learned from each trip. So, like, I remember. Oh yeah, another thing that salvia helped me to understand was my empathy thing. Like when you really feel how much you're connected, like literally, even though you know your regular human experience, you're not sensing it, but you're really so connected to everything. That helped me understand empathy, clairvoyance, and things like that. And I don't know, just like you're delusional when you're in your regular state, but are you delusional in your regular like day-to-day state, or are you delusional when you're on a psychedelic? I don't know, but I really just feel like it opens you up to those other potential realities that are all existing around you, and in this current incarnation of yourself, you just would be on sensory overload if you were always aware of everything that's really going on. Obviously, we never get anything done because we would just be tripping all the time. But yeah, what else? Let's see. Yeah, I feel like even after I've had my experiences, I looked into everything, like what people would say about them, and you know, read a lot about them, so I knew what I was doing, and it really made me feel a lot of pain because I'm like, if there's so much going on, like in other realities, couldn't this be beneficial to like the whole world, or like I don't know if everyone had an experience like that. Like, why do we have so many mental illnesses and things like that if, you know, if that's all really there, if that's all really inside you. So I don't know, it just made me think differently about my approach to whatever was going on with me. Was it a mental illness, or was it really something that I was supposed to be learning in this lifetime, or whatever? I don't really know how to explain. But yeah, you really know nothing here in your limited regular state of being. But yeah, just because I stopped doesn't mean that I'm never going to do it again. I just really needed to get away because I didn't want that to be part of like who I am. Now, all of my experiences are very close to me, and I do feel like they were truly spiritual experiences, and I don't take away from that at all, but I don't feel like that I need to be directly identified with my experiences in psychedelics. Like, some people use that as their spirituality, and I mean, psychedelics will definitely make you more spiritual, I guess, but it's not spirituality, like, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, I just feel like people like abuse it, and it should be looked at as something, well, some people like abuse it, and it should be looked at as something sacred, which it is, and your experiences are sacred, and all of mine have had deep meaning to me, and for my growth, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and I'm very happy for all that I learned. Now, I didn't, oh my god, anyway, I didn't have any like really super crazy experiences like some stories that people, trips that I've read, but I really feel like they have deep meaning to me, and really helped me to understand myself and my connection to myself, my inner self, and the universe and the earth, and my connection with all beings, living and non-living. We're all connected. So, and I really think that that's helped with, you know, me, artistically. It's helped with, you know, if I think something is wrong, to look at it from a different perspective instead of what I am going to be taught by those around me, or, you know, whatever. You have that world, that God self. Everyone does, all your own, and you can use that to get through experiences and life, and stay focused on whatever it is that you need to focus on, I guess. I don't know, is there anything else that I really wanted to say? I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I don't want to forget. But yeah, I can also say I've never had a bad trip, which is good, and I think that that's really important, that if you ever do decide that you want to do something like that, that you be in a good mental state. Like, it will definitely bring out those inner realms in you, and if you're not good on the inside, then it may take you somewhere really dark and really scary, and it's not like you can just stop tripping. So you've got to be smart about where your mental state is before you ever do anything. And although I was very scared, that pretty much I was over it by the time I was actually in it, because, you know, I was around people that I trusted. If I